Well, welcome everybody. This is Debbie Reese with the Denver chapter of IFMA. I want to thank you all for coming to our Knosh Know here in January online. We have a great speaker today, and I wanted to thank all of our annual partners that support us throughout the year. Welcome to everybody that could join us, and Riley, take it away.
Hey everyone, first of all, thank you, Debbie, for allowing me to speak and organizing this meeting. Thank you all for attending today, taking time out of your days to check out Vconsist. I'd like to just start by saying if anyone has any questions throughout any part of this presentation, feel free to just interject right off the bat if you'd like to. So my name is Riley Casey. I work for Dyk Recycling Solutions, which is typically not something a lot of you would deal with. But in this case, we started working with Vconsist, which we're going to talk about here today. And I believe that's something that may be really viable for some of your clients.
Office building.
All right, there we go. So the mission statement of Vconsist is to aim to make reliable innovation available, enable organizations to increase their insight into and improve the management of public processes. Some learning objectives we're going to go over today. We're going to understand underground waste infrastructure. We're going to understand the benefits of underground waste storage, and we're going to know how to implement underground waste when applicable. A little bit about Dyk Recycling Solutions. Typically, we deliver waste collection and waste processing solutions. So we have a lot to do with MRF Design and Build, which is a material recovery facility. We work with some of the top names in material processing, such as Bolograph, Lubo, Tomra, Wallair, B-Pro. Now, of course, Vconsist on the collection side of things. Material recovery facility is a place where waste streams are processed. We work with about 170 of these throughout the United States, often, right in your backyard, depending if you guys are outside of Denver as well. But of course, inside Denver, we're not going to go into too much of this because a lot of it is boring and smelly. But just to let you know, this is what we typically do. There are some service facilities throughout the country that we work with and beyond. Vconsist, right? What does Vconsist solve? Number one, it's definitely going to be overflowing waste containers in high density areas, right? The capacity of Vconsist is enormous. Route inefficiency, more so for a collector, but hygiene on properties that you guys may manage or look after. Space issues, you can't put a dumpster everywhere. You have to use these garbage cans sometimes until now. Labor reduction when picking up this waste, servicing this waste. Vconsist is going to be a lot cheaper, and noise pollution. I don't know if anyone has ever lived on the window or the apartment next to the dumpsters in an apartment complex. Not what you want to hear at 5 a.m. on a Friday morning is the dumpsters banging around. I know because I lived in that apartment until recently. The facts about Vconsist. There are already over 100,000 of these units across the world, really high concentration in the Netherlands and across Europe. But you'll also find these in the Middle East, Africa, Central America, and I believe South America as well. There are two currently in the United States, both of them at our headquarters in Norwalk, Connecticut, fully functioning units, but not currently used by the public. They come in several different sizes, 100 configurations to choose from, so we'll talk about that more in a second. They also come available with a fill detection system with chip lock technology, which again, we'll dive into. They take only about 3 minutes from start to finish to empty an entire container. Once we learn about the capacities, I think that should be really, really huge number to remember. The equipment to service these containers is likely already in the area, which is really important for a lot of potential applications. They're definitely the most hygienic and durable option on the market. Oftentimes you'll see pictures like these where the Vconsist containers are in clusters. Not only do they have an originally large capacity, but when you put 2, 3, or 4 of them next to each other, it really just allows you to collect a lot of waste before it is emptied. They are the ultimate waste containers because they are vandalism proof. They're made of high strength, pre-welded 3mm thick steel. They're all fully hot dip galvanized, which means they're guaranteed not to rust. And they last about 15 years per unit. Right now, we're saying about 15 years because they've been around for about 15 years. And 5 years from now, we very well could be saying they're around 20 years. But to my knowledge, not a single Vconsist has had to be replaced since they've been put in due to just lifetime issues. When they do need to be replaced, if that time ever comes, they are 100% recyclable, the entire container at the end of the lifetime. So you can feel good about putting these on the ground, making a difference. The cost of ownership for these containers is really, really low. There's very few moving parts on them. Occasionally they need to be lubricated. And I recommend power washing the inside of the actual container, 6 to 12 months intervals, just to keep things clean, making sure nothing gunks up inside. A little bit about the fill detection and chip lock system here. You'll see this is an RFID card where it says Abfallpass. That can allow properties to only let certain people use the containers. You can charge when the container is being used, and you can track who's using it and who's using it too much. So someone is dumping, a ton of waste in here every single day and causing a problem. You can know exactly who that is. Now, again, this is totally optional so that you can have anyone use this container as well. But this is going to help anticipate when containers need to be emptied, thanks to the fill level detection. So with that, it goes all to a dashboard, lets you know how many times waste has been deposited on what the current level is at inside the container. So that will make your collector plan a really efficient route. And according to it'll gather the data collection over time. So for example, I live in Phoenix. The first Friday of every single month, we have a big street fair. It's called First Friday. Tens of thousands of people walk the streets. There's food trucks, drinks, whole lot of garbage by the end of the night. Basically, what this system would learn over time is that Friday on the first of the month would be overwhelming for the containers, right? They'd see probably a 50% increase in deposits. So the Thursday night before those nights, this system would learn that anything that would get close to capacity the next day should probably be emptied the Thursday before. So it's a really, really smart system that learns over time.
Hey, Riley,
Yes.
is that just for the regular size containers, or is that for like large size dumpsters?
So this technology is only for Vconsist containers. I'll show you the capacities in just a second here, but they're going to be very close to a traditional dumpster that you might have at a restaurant or behind a restaurant, or something like that. With that, you can see a 40% reduction in CO2 emissions because you're not going to be servicing empty containers. You're only servicing them when they're full. You're going to see significant cost reductions because when I show you how these are serviced, it only takes one person to empty a container. Transparent scheduling, effective control, and obviously less traffic and rush. If the trucks don't need to be out there, they're not going to be out there. Servicing a full container, here's what it looks like. These videos may be a little bit loud. Feel free to turn down your volume right now real quick, just in case. I'm going to try and mute it as fast as possible. HIBA is a company based out of Sweden. They're kind of the leader in underground waste collection technology at this time. They manufacture this smart crane, which is it's called the SIM. It's semi-automatic motion. And that's going to allow one driver, like we said before, to basically hop out and act as a safety eye for the crane. The crane itself will find the container automatically, go over the container, latch on, hoist the container up out of the ground, and then put it over the truck in the hopper or roll-off section, where then it'll hydraulically release the doors underground using the tip on top of the garbage can. And the doors will open, the waste all falls into the truck. And the SIM automatically memorizes the position of where the container came from, so it puts it right back into the ground. Now, the only need for the driver at this time is just because these sensors and radars that are equipped on the truck, they're just not quite 110% safe yet. So if it doesn't detect something, again, the driver's just there as an extra safety feature. In the next couple of months, I believe it's before the next year, this system will be a fully automatic motion system where that driver will not be required to get out of the truck anymore. Everything should be smart enough to do it on its own, which is pretty sweet. These trucks also come in fully electric, so that they can be really quiet as well. Or if a client requests an electric truck, you can absolutely offer that to them. This is a real video of the containers at our Norwalk headquarters in Connecticut. And we actually attached the hydraulic point to a forklift just for demonstration purposes. Like I said, this isn't used by the public, so it's not emptied on a regular schedule. But once it comes out of the ground, you'll see the doors open here on the bottom. And that's how the waste is dropped into the truck. Now you also see once the doors open, some liquid will fall out. These are going to be liquid tight down on the bottom, so that if any liquids were to be deposited in the container, you don't have to worry about them leaking as it was moved over the curb to the truck or over vehicles, over benches, or over people. Obviously, you wouldn't want anything leaking. It wouldn't be very hygienic. So these doors on the bottom are liquid tight. You'll also notice where the container came from. There's a safety platform in there, so that if for some reason the container needed to be removed for a period of time, or the container's just up over the truck, nobody could fall in the hole and get hurt or stuck down there. You could literally jump on this platform. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could literally jump on it and you wouldn't still fall in. Moving on to customization, the insertion holes on the containers can change. So you can have a drum, so you could drop an entire garbage bag in. You can have small holes for glass, cans, and bottles. You can have an inlet for cardboard boxes. If you have an apartment building with a big Amazon problem, this can definitely solve it. And we can customize anything that you'd like as well. The collection alert system, like we talked about, is totally optional. Units can be wrapped in designs, logos, information on community programs. If you wanted to sell the rights to an advertising company, you could probably make a couple bucks or have the containers eventually pay for themselves by doing that as well. In the past, platforms have been beautified using turf, flowers, combination of both, or just leave them the way they are. They look pretty awesome. They're futuristic, and they'll definitely blend into existing infrastructure as well. The sizes, really, really important. They come available in a few different sizes, starting with 3 cubic meters, which is about 800 gallons, 4 cubic meters, which is about 1,000 gallons, on 5 cubic meters, which is our 1320 gallon. That's our most popular container size. And they do go up to 7 cubic meters, which is almost 2,000 gallons. We tend to stay away from this 7 cubic meter one just because it gets so heavy when it's full. A lot of cranes aren't able to service them. So unless you had a really light material they're putting inside there, it's probably just too much. I would recommend going with the 5. And if you really needed the extra capacity, again, you could do a cluster, put 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 cubic meter ones right there, and you'd be good to go. The 5 cubic meter one is going to be really close to your 8-yard dumpster size. I think the 5 cubic meter one would actually hold a couple more gallons than an 8-yard dumpster, just to put that in perspective. And obviously, if you're replacing standard garbage cans, the average US container is about 40 gallons. So just an enormous increase in capacity, and you're taking up the exact same amount of surface area or less. Where does Vconsist fit best? Now, this is subject to change. It can fit anywhere, but I think the first best places in the United States you're going to see where there are lots of people. So stadiums, arenas, sports complexes, right? Tens of thousands of patrons discarding waste on the way in and on the way out, right? Just huge influxes of waste that can be hard to keep up with and keep those facilities clean. Theme parks, right? Disney, Six Flags, Universal. You have thousands of people walking around all day long. They're eating, they're drinking, they're puking, it's gross. But that's the fun in it, right? But these parks right now, they have crews walking around all day long, lugging this trash around. What if you could put these containers in and then just collect the waste all at once at night? You could eliminate at least half of those crews throughout the day, maybe just, sweeping things up. But you're talking a huge cost reduction for these places, and a lot more better efficiency. Higher education, large college campuses, residential quads, perfect for move in, move out days, events, especially for freshmen, things like that outside the football stadiums. College kids are messy. They don't care about the campus sometimes. So having these on there could make things really, really easy as well. Retail or food and beverage centers, especially outdoor and warmer climates. When I visited Denver a few weeks ago, you guys have like a ton of different places where there's just, residential businesses. They're all sharing a place, tons of people coming in and out, drinking, eating, same kind of thing. Or if they have pests digging through their dumpsters, rats, raccoons, things like that. Everything is locked in with Vconsist, so it'd be a lot easier and a lot cleaner. Real estate, large residential complexes with shared outdoor waste containers, dog parks, apartment buildings, new residential developments, if you guys are hired by an HOA or anything like that, just something to keep in mind. But the first couple are definitely better fits than real estate. And of course, there's more. Implementing Vconsist right now, like I said, we only have 2 of these units in the United States, both of them at our headquarters in Connecticut. And we envision Vconsist to take over the US in stages similar to the way that it went in other countries. The best application is definitely on the perimeter of high traffic areas, high density, lots of people, lots of waste like we talked about, stadiums, arenas, theme parks, convention centers, popular downtown attractions. Stage 2, once Vconsist is inside these cities, inside these metropolitan areas, the cities are going to take notice, right? They're going to say, wow, that works great outside the Las Vegas Raiders stadium. Let's put that on the strip. Cities like Vegas, New York City, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Denver, and more are searching for alternatives to keep bags of garbage off the streets. They need stateside examples. They want to see, hey, what does the data look like in my own backyard versus, over in the Netherlands? Stage 2, you're going to see Vconsist, where you see regular garbage cans on the side of the streets, bus stops, parks, and obviously around shopping and entertainment districts as well. Stage 3 is when we expect to see adoption by fast-growing suburban rural communities who are looking to become smarter and more efficient. In brand new developments, you might see clusters of Vconsist on each street instead of each resident having their own plastic rolling bin. Vconsist by beaches, boardwalks, fishing piers. You'll definitely see those in this stage as well. How are Vconsist units installed? Units are easily installed by using a single excavator, and up to 3 units can be done in one day. First, the excavator is going to dig a hole in a pre-planned out space. It's going to drop in a concrete sleeve into that hole. That's going to protect the environment. If the Vconsist container was damaged and it was leaking, obviously we don't want any of those juices going into the earth. That'd be a huge environmental problem. So the concrete sleeve is going to protect against that, just in case. After that, the container is dropped right into that sleeve. And then, of course, the safety doors are going to come in first, and then the container is all set. It's most cost effective to install in brand new developments, as there's no cement to break through, no sidewalks to break through, and you already know what's underground. Hopefully nothing at that point. It can be done on existing developments as well, but just keep in mind, it's really important to survey the ground, see if there's any gas lines, water lines, things like that. And obviously you're going to have to break through cement, sidewalks, and then rebuild those things afterwards. And again, we have 2 fully functioning units in Norwalk, Connecticut that you're all invited to come see anytime. Some frequently asked questions about Vconsist. Can you move or relocate a Vconsist unit? The answer to this is yes, but it's not very logistical. The units can be moved to another location, but it would require an entirely new concrete sleeve and obviously the whole same installation method. So you're gonna have to dig a big hole and do all those things all over again. Do the units flood? The answer to this is no. The bunkers and platforms are installed to be completely sealed from liquids and odors. The actual weight of the container will seal itself around the concrete mold as well. So even if the water was up to almost the inlet hole on the Vconsist container, you shouldn't see any water going on the inside. And of course, on the inside, the clamshell doors are watertight as well. So when liquids are disposed, it's not an issue at all. Who's going to empty these containers? That's probably the biggest question that I get. Whoever currently hauls waste in the area or has a contract likely already has the equipment to facilitate the service of the containers. If they don't, obviously we can help work with them to ensure that they have all the right equipment and the right training required to do so. Sometimes they have grapple trucks for storm debris or other things, and those can be retrofitted sometimes with an attachment to service the containers. Vconsist is open source, so you can use almost any brand, any truck, any hoisting thing, as long as it matches specifications to service containers. Won't they smell eventually? Vconsist units allow you to collect waste for longer periods of time before emptying the container. Because they're stored underground, cooler temperatures, and sealed from the outer world, the units will not emit any odors, even in intervals of 2 or 3 weeks sitting in the sun. For more information about availability, pricing, specifications, or scheduling a presentation, feel free to contact me, write down my contact information. I'm happy to be a resource at any time for you guys. And I think that Debbie said that she's going to send this presentation as well to you all. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, my name is Lori. I'm with the Denver Botanic Gardens.
Hi, Lori.
And hi, this is really interesting. I'm not sure how new this waste overflow system is, but have you considered larger containers for underground? Like we usually use 30-yard containers here at the gardens for compost, trash, and recycling. I find it might be a little difficult for a truck to get into the gardens itself to remove the containers from our actual waste trio systems we have. So I'm not sure how this would work with us, but looking ahead in the future, is that something you might consider for the larger capacity loads?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the downsides is that you need to be able to drive a truck almost next to wherever you place one of these units. So sometimes doing that is very difficult and it's inaccessible by a truck. So Vconsist also has another option. I can't remember the name of it. It's not as popular, but it is ideal for a situation like yours, Lori, where you can have larger containers underground and there's actually a hydraulic lift. So you dig a much bigger hole. And essentially it'd be like a big bunker, and then you'd press a button, or the truck would have a hydraulic hose with a hydraulic motor, and the waste would rise up out of the ground, and you could roll the carts out to the truck, or the collectors can roll the carts to themselves, put the empty cart back inside, and then lower the containers back into the ground hydraulically. So that is an option that we offer. Like I said, it's not as popular, and I don't know about costs for that one as well, but I'd imagine it'd be a little bit more expensive just because of the hydraulics involved. But
Okay.
does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome.
Charlie, we had a few people join us actually on site where we were going to have our meeting. Can you go back to the size of your containers just to summarize what you guys offer for those folks that just joined us?
Yeah, so it's gonna be right on the bottom right here. The sizes available range up to from 3 cubic meters up to 7 cubic meters, or about almost 2,000 gallons. The 5 cubic meter container, which is about 1,300 gallons, is going to be our most popular size, just due to the efficiency of it and the weight. We stray away from the 7 cubic meter one just because it gets really, really heavy with traditional waste. If you had a specifically light material going in there, it's definitely possible, but again, just sometimes way too heavy for the average equipment. Oftentimes you'll see these in clusters, so 2, 3 of them or 4 of them next to each other. Obviously you could do the math, 4 times 1,300 is an enormous amount of capacity compared to a regular garbage can. And obviously the advantage of this is that that capacity is all underground, so it essentially allows you to place a dumpster anywhere and no one even knows it's there. It just looks like a regular garbage can on the surface. So the hygiene issues, things like that come along with a dumpster, they wouldn't exist with this kind of idea.
Awesome. Can you go over a timeline if you were to install this? Does it take, a week, a month? What does that look like for construction?
Yeah, great question. So you can install 3 of these units in one day. When you order from Van Dyk, we deliver the containers and everything you need right to your doorstep. From there, you'd work with a local contractor. We would provide a project management supervisor to walk them through the process, make sure everything's done properly, and that would be it. So relatively quick to install. However, these units are all customized for your specific needs. So lead times getting them to the United States and shipping from the Netherlands can take a couple months. Shipping is crazy right now, so I don't feel comfortable giving an exact timeline of how long that would take, but it'd be safe to say probably a couple months from start to finish to get them here. But once they're here, it's a very, very quick and easy process.
Awesome. And then how much space do you need for actual pickup and removal of the waste each time? Do you have to block it off for the day for pickup? What does that look like?
Nope. So picking it up is really, really quick and easy. You can literally have them like on the sidewalk right here with benches, trucks, cars, anything in between. The arm from the truck can go over most of that and then hoist it right up out of the ground and into the truck. So it only takes from 3 minutes from start to finish on average. As you can see here, there's cars driving by, so the road doesn't need to be blocked off, anything like that. Really, really quick process. One thing to note is that overhead obstructions could be an issue. With these containers being, sometimes 10 feet tall, the crane point has to go up pretty high to allow the bottom of the container to reach the hopper or the roll-off portion of the truck. So if you have any tall trees or power lines over these containers. That's one thing to note, that may not be the best area for them.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions?
I actually have another question. This is Lori again.
Hi, Lori.
Hi. So just in regards to working with trash companies for the haul of that, would they need specific trucks, such as the one you have in your video, in order to haul off the waste?
Great question again. So yes, you will need some kind of a crane attachment on a truck to be able to service these, especially around foresty areas like Denver. A lot of times collectors will have storm debris trucks with a grapple on the end. Oftentimes we have an attachment, or there's attachments that are available that can be swapped onto those trucks, sometimes by even their same manufacturer, that are capable of hoisting Vconsist units. Vconsist, on the top, there are several different ways you can hoist the containers. They have one called a Kinshofer hook, which you saw in this video right here. If you look on the right on top of this container, looks like kind of a mushroom top. That requires a very specific kind of attachment, but they're simply a carabiner style, where you lock two carabiners on, one pulls up to hoist the container out of the ground, and then one in the air, another one pulls up hydraulically to open the doors on the bottom. So we can work with an existing collector or your existing collector to say, hey, what would be the best way for you to service these based on the equipment that you already have? If they did not have anything like that, then yes, they would need to buy an entirely new piece of equipment, specifically with a crane, an attachment to be able to service these. But because Vconsist is open source, they have the flexibility to choose which truck they'd like, which attachment they'd like to fit into their existing infrastructure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, if no one has any other questions, that is pretty much what I have on Vconsist. And again, please feel free to save my contact information. I'm going to send this deck to Debbie as well to share with you guys. If you have any questions at any point down the line, feel free to lean on us as a resource and give us a call.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley. We really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, again for being here today. Log on to our website to look at our other upcoming events at ifmadenver.org. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.